Okay. I would say sound off in the comments. I have no access to the comments as usual. Um, Part of me is just kind of waiting for YouTube to kick in here. My glass screen protector broke. I just changed this. Whoops. Michael, don't touch your phone when you're... I just changed this glass screen protector. And it broke. Oh, come on. What's going on? Are we lagging?
Let me go get my phone. I can find it.
Check on your phone. I want to make sure that we're not like...
I don't know where my phone is.
Oh, that's okay. Don't worry about it.
Oh, yeah,
No, it looks like it's good now. The timer's still going. It's fine. I didn't want your help anyways, Ryan. It's okay.
Okay. Well, if you don't want it.
It lagged on my phone, so I got like really concerned. Because I was checking out the crack in my...
No, I'm kind of concerned.
Glass.
Okay.
All right. 2 minutes. That's about enough time for everybody to join in. Joining in. We are a Baptist church, so I probably should give a few more, but let's see what has happened to Michael Britt. Today was a busy day. Post office, Home Depot, filed a incident report at Home Depot. The young man who loaded up some plywood in our vehicle did not do so carefully. I wasn't there. I would have done it. My wife went. And she's taking this chicken coop thing under her wing. See what I did there? And so it's kind of been her project. So she went down to Home Depot to get the wood. And sure enough, the young man who loaded it scratched up the SUV. So I got to do that today. Picked up some OSB today for the chicken coop. We're really getting serious about this chicken coop. Worked on some things, took some stuff out to the dumpster. It's been a productive day. Fixed a couple things. Oh, fixed the church sign. Bruce Healy met me down there. Bruce, our neighbor, he's a great guy. Apparently, and I still don't know who. If I knew who, I certainly forgot. Don't think I'd forget about this. Apparently, someone either crashed into our sign or the sign just broke with the wind, and someone fixed it-ish by attaching a 2x2 in the ground and sawing off where the sign was broken and just kind of screwing in that 2x2 into the existing one. Well, sure enough, the wind blew and it broke even more, and it was all leaning back, and one of the legs was broken. It was awful. So we applied a fix by putting some white braces on it and putting some gravel in the holes where it was leaning. So hopefully that'll keep it going for a little while. But hopefully we can get a new sign here before too long. Might as well change the church name while we're at it. You know what I mean? I'm thinking like Adullam Church, Cave of Refuge. I'm just joking. I'd never be that obscure. They would think we're not a church. They think we were a mosque. Adullam. Anyways, all right. We're 4 minutes in. Hopefully that's enough time for everybody to jump in. Make a fool of myself here, trying to get people to chuckle a little bit. But yeah, hope everybody's week is going well. Don't fret. Don't worry. That's one of the points of the lesson this evening. I have been avoiding, for the most part, teaching with regards to the quarantine. But tonight, and though I did do one of these, I believe it was last week, we addressed some of the things specific to the quarantine. Because I think we've been in quarantine just long enough for everybody to know everything about it and know everything of what to do, and then to tell everybody else what to do and how to handle their churches and businesses. So since we're at that time, I feel like more biblical instruction is needed. Yeah. The title of the lesson this evening is called 15 for Quarantine. Now, before you get scared, it doesn't mean I have 15 points. It means we're going to be in Proverbs 15. Proverbs 15, we're just going to cover the first 4 verses. My points are, we have 4 verses, I have 4 points, but they're not in the order of the verses. You say, Pastor, no, I'm not just trying to be arbitrary. There's a reason for this, a couple reasons for it. But Proverbs chapter 15, verses 1 through 4. 15 for quarantine. I'm going to read the first 4 verses. And as you know about Proverbs, right? It's a collection of dark sayings, poems, riddles, not poems, but riddles, hard sayings, right? They're idioms and axioms and wisdom for living, but it's more than just a bunch of advice. This is, I believe, a supernaturally guided compilation of wisdom literature. And chapter 15, verses 1 through 4. I'm going to read these for you. The reason I mentioned that before we read is that these 4 verses aren't necessarily supposed to be read in sequence with these 4, right? They don't form their own section. But I figured like these 4 were good for us. Though there are some parts of the Proverbs that are meant to be read at length, Proverbs 15 seems to be like many other Proverbs, chapters of Proverbs, in that it's just a collection of independently existing wisdom statements. So here's the first 4. A soft answer turneth away wrath, but grievous words stir up anger. The tongue of the wise useth knowledge aright, but the mouth of fools poureth out foolishness. The eyes of the Lord are in every place, beholding the evil and the good. A wholesome tongue is a tree of life, but perverseness therein is a breach in the spirit. Father, I'm just coming before you to submit myself to you and your wisdom. I pray that you would supernaturally alter my path if I'm about to say something ridiculous. And I ask that you would guide me as I try to say things that are wise and good, and to help shepherd this flock from a distance. I need your help. In Jesus' name, amen. Even as I said from a distance, I started to think about the end game of this quarantine. I have been in contact with a couple of people about coming back. We're going to get the ball rolling on that. I'm hoping we can just keep our anticipation at bay until June 1st. Keep our anticipation at bay till the end of May. Hey. Anyways. Sorry, Ryan. I know that was painful for you to hear in person. Yeah. But June 1st, June 1st is a Monday. So it's kind of stinky that, we're supposed to be waiting until all the way to the first Sunday in June, which is well into the calendar there. I do want to try to do that, though, if we can. And so I'm going to be calling people individually to say, hey, we're starting church this day. Please be there. We're going to have a party. And we're really going to enjoy ourselves, enjoy our time together. I'm looking forward to that very, very much. It'll be sweet. So there's that. That's kind of the timetable of when we're going to get back together. We're still shooting for June. The first Wednesday in June will obviously be our first Wednesday together. Proverbs 15, verses 1 through 4. I've got 3 points for you and then a 4th point. But the first point comes from verse 1. The second point comes from verse 2. The third point comes from verse 4. And the 4th point comes from verse 3. You say, come on, Pastor. No. It has to do with my points. They're alliterated, and I wanted the last one, which is not alliterated, to come last. But also, it's because it's the one I want to leave us with this evening. So, I'm going to try my best not to keep us too long this evening. Rather just give you some wisdom from the Bible. Point number 1. Speak love. Speak love. Look at what the Bible says. A soft answer turneth away wrath, but grievous words stir up anger. Okay. Soft answer, grievous words. Soft answer, grievous words. Let me go over to Judges with you. It's really funny. I looked up the reference because I knew the story in my head. I said, where is that story about this fella? And as I'm looking at it in my preaching Bible, which I don't look at until I preach, literally it has the verses right in my chain reference, right in the middle. I'm a goofball. I should probably just study out of this one. Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, Joshua, Judges. Judges chapter 8. That was mostly for my benefit. Joshua, Judges. I'm having one of those evenings, ladies and gentlemen. Judges chapter 8. Look at verse 1. And the men of Ephraim said unto him, who him? Gideon. Why hast thou served us thus, and that thou calledst us not when thou wentest to fight with the Midianites? Can I do us all a favor? You can read in your Bibles. I'm just going to kind of read it as if I'm like a dude in today's time. I'm just going to paraphrase. Men of Ephraim said, why have you done this to us? Why have you served us this cold dish of nope? Just hold on. That you didn't call us when you went to go fight with the Midianites. And they, listen to this, and they did chide with him sharply. And he said unto them, What have I done now in comparison of you? Is not the gleaning of the grapes of Ephraim better than the vintage of Abiezer? God hath delivered into your hands the princes of Midian, Oreb and Zeb. And what was I able to do in comparison of you? Listen close. Then their anger was abated toward him when he had said that. Cool. So the men of Ephraim come up to Gideon and say, why didn't you take us with you? We can fight too, you know. And Gideon said, hold on. The grapes of Ephraim are better than the vintage of Abiezer. God delivered into your hands Oreb and Zeb. What was I able to do in comparison of you? Now, one would say, that sounds a bit like flattery to me. Okay, I get it. I think you could build a case for that. Gideon was a cunning guy, and he used his cunning for good, and I think maybe a little for not so good. Granted. That being said, Gideon's cunning, Gideon's resourcefulness led him to turn away the wrath of the men of Ephraim with a soft answer. Now, a soft answer doesn't always have to look like Gideon's answer, but it should this is the key here, I have this in my notes, this has as much to do with content as it does delivery. What I mean by that is, I just wrote in my notes, you might say, well, I speak softly and people are still angry. Right, because a soft answer doesn't have to do with changing your tone. A lot of times that'll just make people more angry at you. The best thing you can do when someone's angry is just to say, why don't you just calm down? I'm just joking. Don't do that. You'll get punched or slapped, depending on who you're talking to. I wrote here, I have two responses to the objection. Well, a soft answer doesn't always turn away wrath. I speak softly and, well, I just wrote here, listen. This is the book of Proverbs. Not inexorable, no exceptions, ironclad, immutable inevitabilities. It's just not. It's not supposed to be. It's a book of wisdom. Another book of wisdom, Ecclesiastes, says time and chance happen to us all. Another book of wisdom, another section of the same book of wisdom, Proverbs, talks about all these things that can lead to a good life, but then Ecclesiastes counters and says you can do all that stuff and still be dealt a really bad, hand of cards. So the book of Proverbs is not pretending to say every single time without exception. That's not how the book of Proverbs works. So I just wrote here, the general truth is still applicable in almost every situation. And even where it doesn't totally dissolve the other person's anger, it still serves generally to prevent further escalation. What if Gideon had said to the men of Ephraim, oh yeah, well, come on, that would have been it would have been fisticuffs. I've not used that word in a while. Point two under this, the objection. Well, I speak softly and they're still angry. I just wrote here, again, a soft answer doesn't necessarily mean speaking in a soft tone. It has to do with content as much as it does delivery. So when someone says, well, I speak softly, but it doesn't turn people away, I want us to try to refocus our understanding of what a soft answer is. It doesn't always have to mean, a hushed, gentle tone, though that helps. It means the content of what you say. It means to defer or deflect the anger by soothing or offering a balm with your words in some way. A soft answer. Again, that doesn't mean a hushed answer all the time. It means an answer that is soft, as contrasted with a angry approach. So I just wrote here, this is the end of point number 1. I just wrote here, during this time, it's important, because again, these are 15 for quarantine. During this time, it's important that we all simmer down. Simmer down. Some may need help simmering down. How to help? Speak lovingly. Speak softly. No big stick necessary here. That's what I wrote. Because, speak softly and carry a big stick. You don't need a big stick. You don't need one of those. Promise. Social media is cool in that it's keeping us all connected during this time. Social media is uncool for that very same reason sometimes. Because I could post, hey, everybody be safe. Don't come to church in the snowstorm. And I'd hear about 30 people, well, bless God, I know the maker of the rain. Okay, all right. Okay. I don't know why they always say bless God. I don't know why. It's my straw man, okay? And they always sound like they've been smoking like 3 packs that morning, Well, if they're Southern Baptists, they can get away with it, Anyway. Well, be careful with this virus. Oh, bless God, they're not going to take away my freedoms. All right, okay. I mean, Jesus, laid down every single one of his freedoms and rights to die to cover your sins. But no, that's fine. Keep your, I know, I'm ranty still. Wednesday evenings, I feel more liberty to be ranty. I'm sorry. So it's time to move on. Point number 1, speak love. When people come at you like that, it's like, hey, I love you. Can you imagine how crazy it would be if somebody was like, I gotta tear you limb from limb? Be like, all right, hey, I love you. Is there anything I can do for you today? Not with the intent. I don't like it when people are snarky and they say, well, if you love them, it's like heaping coals of fire on their head, and that'll really get them. That'll really set them off. No, what are you doing? You're just trying to hurt them with love. That doesn't make any sense at all. Don't do that. That's not, no. Your goal should be to love people and show people what the new kingdom looks like, right? Even when people are angry at you. So, speak love. Soft answer. You say, that verse didn't have anything to do with love. Well, I guess in the life of the Christian, the only reason why I would even waste time speaking a soft answer instead of going fisticuffs with somebody, fisticuffs, would be, I love my Lord, my Master, Jesus, and I love that person, and I love the Testament. Come on, because of love. The only reason I don't get all bent out of shape about stuff is because of love. It changed me, man. It changed me. I preached a message a couple weeks ago about anger, and it changed me. Like, it seriously did. It didn't just do a little temporary change. That'd be done in a day or two. Like, it's sticking to my bones. I hope it lasts forever. It's just a new approach to people, man. A new approach to people. When they cut you off in traffic, man, you just love them. Love them. Going too slow? Oh, man. Love them. I don't even know how Christian culture got so far away from this. It got so far away that even unbelievers look at us and say, ugh, I don't want to be like that. I can't blame them. Point number 2. Point number 1 was speak love. Point number 2 is speak less. Look at verse 2. The tongue of the wise useth knowledge aright. That means like skillfully, usefully, to do well. To do well would be the Hebrew word there, to do well. But the mouth of fools poureth out foolishness. It's pretty straightforward. I'll try to read what I wrote here. There's a lot to be said about this quarantine, but how much needs to be said about the quarantine? Well, it's demon vaccine virus bug syndrome. What? It's Bill Gates and the moon landing and now I sound like I don't know what I sound like. I get it, man. I get it. There's a lot of stuff going on out there. I get it. But maybe it would be good if we just what does the Bible say? The tongue of the wise useth knowledge aright, but the mouth of fools pours out foolishness. Let me just read what I wrote before you think that I'm. Can't think of a word besides throwing shade. I don't want to use throwing shade from the pulpit.
Downing.
I thought about downing too, but I thought, I want something
down.
in between downing and throwing shade.
Down.
Before I.
Burn, roast.
Yeah.
Slam.
Before I'm throwing shade at anybody who believes in a conspiracy theory or what people call a conspiracy theory, you might be right. Here's the point. I'm not downing you for that, but listen. I just wrote here, this useth knowledge carries an understanding of speaking truths appropriately, using discernment on what to say and how and when to say it. Fools, on the other hand, always think they have something important to say. Oh man, I can't even you say, oh, you're talking a lot, Pastor. All right, okay, here we go. But seriously, I'm telling you the truth. The ones who always think they have something to say, especially to correct, man, I honestly, I'm telling you the truth, ladies and gentlemen, people at Topsom Baptist Church, I am telling you the truth. I can't think of a single person who just blows up my phone with text messages and Facebook messages and comments and everything and actually knows what they're talking about. I can't think of one. Usually it's the ones who know what they're talking about who are willing to just kind of sit back, watch it all play out, and be vindicated in the end because they were right all along. You know what I mean? So, notice the difference here. Wise folks, look at what the Bible says, use knowledge. They use knowledge. They utilize words selectively. They use these words as a vehicle of good thoughts and organized, structured appeals to your own knowledge. They are trying to again, words are the containers of thoughts. I know that sounds kind of weird and abstract, right? But words are the containers of thoughts. And when these containers arrive at the gates, they are getting productive, useful, discerning thoughts. Fools, by way of contrast, simply like open the floodgates and just let their version of knowledge flow out. Flow out. During this time, I have a during this time at the end of all four of my points. During this time, it is imperative that we use discernment, not jumping on every recent conspiracy theory, not blaming presidents or people or Bill Gates or whatever, not because we're not right. You may be entirely right that it's Bill Gates and, he's the devil in a human suit and 666 is the number of the vaccine. You may be entirely right. That's not my point. My point is that because we're ambassadors here representing the new kingdom, we need to be very wise and sparing with our words so as not to dilute the effectiveness of our kingdom message. We need to be more concerned about the effectiveness of the gospel. That's the kingdom message, the good news. That there's a new king in town. And its name is not the coronavirus. It's Jesus. That's point number 2, speak less. Point number 4, because we're going to point number 3 last. So you can say this is point number 3. It's just verse 4. Is speak life. So speak love, speak less, and speak life. To help me with this point, I've invited Toby Mack to sing his song, Speak Life. Toby? Nope, I didn't. But it'd be cool if I did. Good song, Speak Life. You ever heard that one, Mary? No. Yeah, it's not really up your alley.
What
Speak life in the deadest, darkest night. Anyway, I thought it was good. Anyways, how about this? Speak life. The Bible is clear. Those who belong to Yahweh ought to share in his dedication to life and wholesomeness, period. I know I'm in a goofier mood tonight. Wednesdays, they just tend to be that way, especially when Ryan's my only audience member. It does affect me, clearly. But look at verse 4.
Thanks.
In a good way. I'm more hip and relevant. A wholesome tongue is a tree of life, but perverseness therein is a breach in the spirit. What a powerful word, breach. When I think of that, admittedly being a science fiction guy, I think of a breach in the hull of a starship, right? But it has to do with an opening, a rift, a sore, a gateway for things to come in and out that weren't ever supposed to go in and out. It is a brokenness, a tear. So, there is no space in the kingdom for anger, vitriol, perverseness, corruption, or foolishness. A wholesome tongue is the tree of life, but perverseness therein is a breach in the spirit. You say perverseness. Oh, I know what it means, being a pervert. That's what they know. Yes, it certainly involves that, but perverseness would be the opposite of wholesomeness. In this text, look at the scriptures. A wholesome tongue, but perverseness in your tongue. What does it mean to have a perverse tongue? Well, again, I would say it has to do with tearing people down, speaking malice, deceit, perverseness, stepping on others to get ahead. I just wrote here, during this time, it's so important to keep our speech free of anything that can cause even more of a breach in people's spirits than this virus already does. A lot of people are hurting. That's why they're so angry right now. That's why they're so scared right now. It all started with, a breach. The coronavirus caused a breach in our country, our economy, certainly first and foremost. I should have said it first and foremost. In my heart, I believe the utmost concern of this virus is the health and the death and life that had been utterly affected because of this. A breach. Don't make the breach worse by not speaking wholesome words, especially during this time. All time, obviously. But we ought not be tearing anyone down. We ought not be throwing anybody under the bus. Just a quick example, right? We got a governess, Janet Mills, and you say, well, she's just being petty at this point. Maybe. It's possible. Seriously, it is. I don't know. I don't know her reason for doing what she's doing. I think if you look at it from one angle, it sure does look like she's being petty, and just a lot of governors are. Maybe. But what's my job? What's my job? Well, your job as the pastor is no. Wait. Let me tell you what my job is, and I want you to focus on what your job is. And I don't direct that to TBC folks. I don't have an issue with that here. It's just I have found more than any other time in my life people proclaiming what pastors ought to be doing right about now, and more than any other time by a mile. But my job as the pastor is to look out for my flock and do what I believe would be most pleasing to Jesus. And other people feel that Jesus would be, well, admittedly different than the Jesus I read about in the Bible. It's kind of the Jesus that we've made to make our American Christianity work. But either way, let's be wholesome about it no matter which angle you're looking at this from. Don't be tearing down people. Don't be making fun of Janet Mills just because, look, like I say, she's a lady with a family, and she got stories of her own to tell. And look, I'm sure she's actually a pretty awesome person if you got to know her. Everybody can be, you know. Point number 3/4. Here's the last one. So we got speak love, speak less, speak life, and it doesn't have any alliteration. But the last point is this: God sees all. God sees all. This is perhaps one of the most. This is what I really want you to listen to, if you could, please. This is one of the most forgotten elements of God's character, practically speaking. We forget this all the time. No, I don't. No, just we do. We forget it all the time. If you're concerned about this pandemic in any way, what's happening now, what people have lost, what lives will be lost, what it's going to look like when it's all over, I get it. Man, I get it. I don't know what it's going to look like. I don't know. I don't like what it looks like now. I'm one of those who naively believes we're going to bounce pretty much right back. I mean, I think we're already starting to in a lot of ways. I was over at Home Depot today. I was one of the only ones with a mask on when we were outside anyways. Everybody just kind of looking normal. I don't see as much, I don't know, it just doesn't seem, I think we're bouncing back just fine. But whether or not you believe we're going to bounce back just fine, and whether or not you're okay with all of this, some people are more okay with this than others. I tell you, what I would give to be like I don't know. There's some people whose jobs basically just entail sitting at a computer, like writing code. Those guys probably don't even know there's a pandemic going on, man. Just bring them Mountain Dew and chicken tenders, and they're all set, man. I would love that. That would be awesome. No, I wouldn't. That'd be terrible. But I tell you, for most of us, we know that there is something going on outside. I totally get it. We know it. It's affecting a lot of us in however ways. Whether it's just a small inconvenience of wearing a mask, which can turn into a pretty large inconvenience over time. Or you've lost your job and you don't know when you're going to be able to eat. You know, I get it. Let me just read this here. Regardless of the level of your concern, you are called to remember that a sovereign God is watching everything unfold. Now, this is where it gets into, to each their own territory, right? I believe that consistent with the concept of God's vouchsafing to humanity free will, right? God said you have free will. That doesn't make me what they call an open theist, where God's just watching and I don't know how everything's going to unfold. No, that, prophecy wouldn't really be a thing if that were the case. That being said, God's foreknowledge and God's sovereignty does not entail a micro manipulation of events. In other words, people are the ones with whom God has chosen to partner to rule this world. Not that he didn't want to do it. He created this world with a view to place all of his just beautiful creatures that we know of anyways on this planet. And then the one creation to rule them all, humankind. Something is in us that separates us from animals. Where's the proof? You ever driven in a car? You know what I mean? When did you see a dolphin make a car? I'm just saying, right? Oh, the dolphins have their own echolocation. Yeah, I can sniff things too. I'm just saying, no, there's something amazing about humans. Yeah, there's something amazing. So God has chosen to give us these amazing faculties to manage this. And how we manage this as humanity is really I don't even like to use the word test in this context, but it is a reflection of how we as humanity are doing with regards to conforming to the image of Jesus Christ. Are we concerned about lives first and foremost? Or are we going to try to earmark a public safety bill with all kinds of things supporting you understand my point? I could have sworn I just heard the camera nod at me. It's quarantine, ladies and gentlemen. We're going a little nuts here. I nodded, and I think it made it look like the camera nodded. Ryan, don't judge me, man.
I'm just looking.
Here's the thing. I really do believe that because God gave us free will, God is watching us. And the Bible says he sees everything. Look, the eyes of the Lord are in every place, beholding the evil and the good. He watches. He watches. Angels watch. Why wouldn't God? God watches. He doesn't have, I don't believe he's, puppeteer, and I don't believe that. I believe his sovereignty will certainly cause certain events to come to pass. Yes. But I believe that humans, we are given this privilege and vast responsibility of managing this. On a smaller scale, this is where I want to bring it home, and then I'm going to end this. On a smaller scale, you've been given the responsibility to rest in the sovereignty of God and to manage this in your own heart, to manage this, to control this, to say, Lord, I don't have control over the coronavirus. No one does. This is the virus gone rogue. I learned from a geneticist this week, viruses are in effect good things. They're generally very good. And there actually seems to be a very human and free will oriented explanation for the origin of bad viruses. I won't get into that now because I'm trying to cut out rabbit trails. I'm doing okay today, doing okay. But all that to say, you need to surrender to God and say, God, I don't know. Even the most amazing geneticists in the world have no idea what's going on, when it's going to end, what it's going to look like after it ends. Did God do this so that our mega cities could be overrun with trees and flowers and deer frolic everywhere? I hope not. I like those cities. Maybe it'll call us to more nature mindfulness. I don't know. We could free Ryan. He'd just be roaming free.
Roaming in tops of it.
In tops of me.
Tops of it. I don't go anywhere else.
I wrote here, God defers much of how this world works to our will. That is why our obedience is so essential to spreading the new kingdom, inviting others into the new kingdom. That being said, God is well aware of the consequence of every human choice, as indicated by his track record in the Bible. So let me bring this point home and sew it in together with the word of comfort to you. Remember Joseph, right? Thrown into a pit. Hey, I'm free from the pit. Into a deeper pit before he was elevated. That was all human actions. All human actions. Those people chose to do those things. A person is, in effect, just as much of an uncontrollable agent as a virus, right? To us. I can't control what somebody else does. I can't control how they feel. You can't control the virus. You can't control how this world looks or how it will look. Because I think that's really where the fears are gravitating toward. They're shifting toward the future, if you allow. And that makes sense. But what we can't control, we have to put it in the category of God, the virus personified, meant it unto us for evil, but you meant it unto us for good. Doesn't mean it was fun in the prison. Doesn't mean it was fun in the pit. No, there are bad things to happen because bad people do bad things. There are bad things to happen because a bad virus does bad things. Virus doesn't know. It's just going around doing what it's supposed to do. But we gotta, listen, if there's any ounce of Christianity in us, we gotta trust God. We have to just say, Lord, I'm gonna do what I can do. You've given me free will. I'm gonna keep myself safe. I'm gonna be innovative, creative, and find solutions to this. Absolutely. But ultimately, it's in your hands, Lord. And you know what? If we come out of this thing and it's this weird post-dystopian apocalyptic wasteland, maybe people will be more open to the gospel. I don't know. However it ends up, it's not going to be out of the scope of the one who sees everything. The eyes of the Lord are in every place, beholding the evil and the good. So, speak love, speak less, speak life, and God sees all. 4 lessons from the Quarantine 15. There are some other verses in there, by the way, that I feel are pretty applicable, but a number of factors, including how long this would take, have mitigated my addition of more points. We've taken about, 32 minutes to teach this lesson, and don't get your hopes up. We're going right back up to 45 minutes when you get back, okay? We're not going to do this 30-minute stuff, all right? I love you. If there's anything I can do for you, please let me know. You know I mean that. Stay in touch, please. Don't feel, you're not intruding on me or anybody else in the church if you just send a text message, say, hey, just reaching out, love you. I can't say I love you. Well, okay. I think you can. Even if it's not your way, it's the way of the kingdom. Might take a little bit of pushing through, but you can say I love you. So just a thought. Don't be a stranger. This time is just about done. A couple weeks left. We're almost through. All right. That's about all I've got to say. What did the Atlantic Ocean say to the Pacific Ocean when they met each other for the first time? You ever heard this one, Ryan?
I believe I know what it is.
Nothing. They just waved. Wave, because it...
Oh. See, mine was
see
nothing. See you later.
Yeah. I was gonna, When my son told me this, I was like, oh, that's good. See you later. And we got a kick out of it because it's, dad version of it. But, all right. Well, then I'll see you.
Just quit it.
Just quit it. Just turn it off, Britt.